Kirby Ortega, Chief Pilot for Piston Engine Operations with Cessna Aircraft Company out of Wichita, Kansas. And we are in the Cessna Skycatcher this afternoon. But to kind of give you an idea as far as the documentation that we have on board the airplane, John, is this is the Pod Operating Handbook, and also it says the Flight Training Supplement versus a AFM, Airplane Flight Manual, or Part 23. Well, if you open up the book, you don't find a separate Flight Training Supplement as you may with other LSAs in the back, where they'll tell you about the takeoff, the landing, cruise, stalls, whatever maneuvers they have in there. Cessna has always embedded the procedure within the amplified procedures of normal operations, emergency operations, whatever the case may be. So even though it says training supplement, it's embedded with the amplified normal and emergency procedures is where we would define that. So it's a little bit different. Not a Part 23 airplane, you don't have an approved airplane flight manual. What you have is the Pod Operating Handbook, but you will still have limitations listed. And one that I'll show you, which everybody asks about, but the one that we wanted to share with you is, did mention the fact that's day-night VFR as far as the certification, and maximum operating altitude is 15.5. Intentional operation with the cabin doors open is prohibited. So, can I fly with the doors open? No. You can't do that.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting.
Fuel quantity indicators. This is a little bit unusual in that we have two placards, one for level flight and the other one for when we're sitting on the ground.
Okay.
And what we're looking at right now on this one is half tank, so that'd be about 6 gallons. And then over on that one would be about 4 gallons, so we should have about 10 gallons on board right now, which would give us about 2 hours, a little bit better than 2 hours. So you won't have any electronic indication. It's all predicated on the float that we see in there.
Okay.
Mag switches are off, and I have the key down in that box there. Then the master switch, alt and battery, is going to come on. And what you're going to see is the primary flight display, or the display unit on the left side, come to life. And it will be in a presentation that would look like if you only had one display unit and not two. Because the second display unit would become your dedicated multifunction display.
Okay.
So this would be what we refer to as a split screen. So up on top we have the engine indication. Second, we would have flight instruments. And third, the lower level, we would have our HSI course information. And there's also a fan up here that's bringing air from below the panel and routing it up to cool the units down. And then once we're happy with that, we can pretty well shut the avionics down. There is a trim indication that we have right here, and it is electric trim only. There is no mechanical system to it. Over. Since this is the about the third flight of the day, I'm not going to worry about draining the fuel. We already have done that today. Fresh air inlet would be this one. There's a single WEMAC vent. Then the next item that we have would be the fuel vent for both tanks. And then pitot tube.
All standard metal construction?
Yep. There's no composite materials on it. Static port is over here on this side.
Okay.
Kind of a thick leading edge. And then we have, yep, that would be the landing light, and everything is LEDs. And kind of like other airplanes, for the wingtip, you'll have the strobe, the position light, and the tail position light. Coming around to the trailing edge, when we move the aileron up, you can see the travel movement on the one that went down on the other side. Not very much at all. Primarily what that will do for us is not have as much adverse yaw with the down aileron. Therefore, the rudder input is going to be less. Another unique design feature about the ailerons and flaps is that they're the same. That is, I can take this aileron and move it over to that one. The only thing different would be the trim tab. Same way with the flap, I can move this flap on over to that side. So it's a common part.
And that's a ground settable trim tab?
Meaning you bend it. Calibrated bend.
Okay.
Flaps are a little bit unique in that you can pull it down because it's spring. So it's a mechanical flap. And essentially what you're looking at is just the actuator rod and the cables on that. Up on top of the airplane, this one still has the harness. What do we call that? The harness
The runs for the
covering,
parachute, right?
yeah, for the ballistic recovery system. That's these guys right here. Then we've got a single comm and GPS antenna. GPS antenna is at the base of the comm. Outside air temp probe. Since we have the second MFD, we've got another GPS antenna for it, and then the ELT antenna in the back. Fairing is good, tire is up.
Those are metal fairings or composite?
They're metal. Come around to the tail, just up and down as we would on the others, and just see that we have the corresponding motion inside the airplane. We're not going to get much movement on the rudder, but it's a little bit larger than what we started off with, and then with the added fin as well. This just on the tab itself, the elevator trim tab.
The trim is all electric driven through the tab?
Okay. One single electric motor. I think it resides about right in here.
Okay.
That's where it lives. On this side, do the same thing. Just pull it down, check the cables. Actuator rod, all looks good. The movement of the aileron, try to push that up, you can't.
Why is that?
Because it's locked when you pull it down. Okay. There's it's what they refer to as a bull, not pulley, but there's a mechanism that locks it. So it's locked right here, right now. So the only way that I can release that lock is to go back in here and move the wheel. And then it's released. So that's why we suggest when you're doing your inspection of the aileron, move it up. That's what you want to do, not pull it down because that locks it into place. In the stroke, we only have one landing light, so we won't find one on this side. Tie down, it's you're gonna have to kind of measure your rope or your chain because they're not very big. Again, weight savings more than anything else. Anything that would save us an ounce, we did. As far as draining the tanks, mentioned the fact that we've already had a couple flights at it, but you'll find 2 drain points at the wing root, and then there's one up underneath the belly of the airplane, and then an engine sump that we'll get around to. Started off with composite propeller, but now we have the Macaulay metal prop on it. Eventually, it's rumored Macaulay will build us a composite propeller. Cooling inlets are in good shape. Swiveling nose well,
Okay.
and that was like on the CT. Is that what you were in?
Techno.
Techno. Another kind of safety feature, design safety feature, is with the locking oil dipstick. 5 is max, 3.5 is minimum. So we just push it down, and you can't close it unless it is down and locked and seated. Then, like I said, that other drain point is located right here. Access to your ground power receptacle, and that's an option. And then we're pretty well right at the door again.